that kind of makes me think of another email I received, kind of related to this, but maybe not, maybe a little bit of a tangent. But they said their number one struggle was mental health. She said that I am easily filled with this song sounds so good, I can never come up with that. Meaning listening to someone else's music and thinking, how could I ever create something like that? Thoughts kind of feel just like I'm just really bad. And I totally understand that. I felt that way for so long. And then still to this day, sometimes I hear a song, I'm like, wow, that's so good. How could I ever create something like that? So I think a big part with being efficient and being creative is having that momentum and having that positivity and that hope that I can create something good today, or I'm going to create something even better tomorrow. But if you're struggling with that issue of feeling like I'm just really bad, maybe that could be a barrier to even, reaching out and commenting like we just talked about on Instagram or wherever. So how do you deal with that? I know it's kind of a different topic there.
Yeah,
but how do you deal with that?
It's tricky, isn't it? Because that is, to paraphrase, it's imposter syndrome, isn't it? Like we all suffer from that. I suffer from that. I still do with the podcast and stuff now. You think actually is blah, blah. Anyway, but I mean, with that there, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Like, it's easy for me to say, but you kind of just don't compare yourself to others. Like you kind of want to imagine a horse with blinkers and look forward. Don't compare yourself to what other people are doing, specifically with social media, because you need to think. And this is where we're consuming a lot of music, isn't it? And we're seeing what a lot of other people are doing, and they're getting the feedback, and everyone's saying, great, they're sharing their music. But you're only seeing one side of it. You're not seeing everything else that's going on. Generally, people are only going to put online what is going well at that time, in particular with music and music production, right? You're not going to see the behind the scenes stuff that they're having to put in. So my answer there, my retort to that would be just sort of focus in on what you're doing. Don't get distracted by others. Don't compare yourself to what everybody else is doing, because everyone's in a different place, and it's all relative as well. It's all relative. And it also comes down to putting the reps in. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. It's all about repetition, putting the reps in, flexing, and sort of working that creative muscle. And that's the only way you can get through it, really. As I say, it's easy for me to say not to compare yourself to others, but that's the key. It's just start working on what you're doing. And also it comes down to that creative network. If you start sending your stuff out to other artists for feedback, you'll find that they're very supportive. And they're going to be supportive, and that will just give you that extra little bit of that extra little kick that you need to think, actually, you know what, I am pretty good at this, or I'm making progress, and I can continue to make progress. But yeah, my key bit there really is just put the blinkers on and just focus on what you're doing, and just don't compare yourself to the outside noise. As easy as it is.
Yeah, that's really great. That's a huge one. But I'd also add to that, Ashley, if you're watching, or anyone can relate to that, is that's just part of the process. I think, Mark, you would say you've probably been there before. I know I've been there I was there for a long time, because I was making music that was like so bad because I had no idea what I was doing in the beginning. And so, even as you go, just realize that's part of the process. That kind of everyone's been there where they're making music like, oh, this doesn't sound good. And realize that failure, if you want to call it that, is the way, right? We think of failure and success as being on opposite poles or opposite ends of a spectrum, but really it's a continuum. So you have your starting point and you go forward, you have to go through failure to get to success. And so that's just realize when you're experiencing that, what you're actually experiencing is progress. What you're experiencing is part of the process. So don't be discouraged. Realize you can get better. And one day you could make music, as good or even better. And also maybe your music isn't as bad as you think it is. And that's where maybe having that supportive network or community, getting feedback. Yeah.
That last bit you said there is key. It's like, but we're our own worst critic when it comes to music, and your own music. You will inherently you will not see the potential in there sometimes. Maybe you're having a bad day in particular, and you'll just think, you know what, I'm not very good at this. But as you mentioned there, you've got to put the reps in. And you got to learn from your mistakes. That's the way we learn. You put something out there, and then I've done it, and I've released music, and I listen back to it now, and I'm thinking, oh, I could change this, I could change that. But at the time, that's where I was at. That was the level I was at. But having then sort of listened to that, digested it, got feedback, and thinking, okay, well, now I can kick on and I can improve on that. And the only way you're going to improve is by making mistakes, ultimately, I feel.
I just wanted you to know you can grab my free mixing checklist in the description below. And not only does this walk you through a proven step-by-step system for how to go about mixing a track start to finish. So it walks you through what to start with first, second, third, and so on. But this also has a bunch of handy cheat sheets included inside of it that walk you through how to EQ and compress and mix different elements and instruments in your mix. So if you want to know how to go about compressing vocals, EQing vocals, drums, bass, etc., you have handy cheat sheets in there that walk through the frequency ranges for each of these different elements and what you might want to consider boosting or cutting. And same thing goes with compression, walk you through what compression settings you want to use. So this is just a really handy cheat sheet you can have on hand to make sure you're never going wrong when you are mixing. Again, this is completely free in the description below, or go to OrpheusAudioAcademy.com/mixing checklist.